Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Machuca. I'm the Director of Environmental Education and Neighborhood Parks at Friends of the Parks. And today's webinar is to hopefully quickly run you through our 2017 seed grant application that we just released today, November 15th. In 2000, we started distributing seed grants most often to park advisory councils and at times other park partnering organizations to support their work in local parks. So before I go through the application with you, just some reminders of some events that are coming up. This week, the Park District is releasing their proposed 2017 budget, and there is going to be a public hearing on that budget December 7th. December 14th is the Park District's monthly Board of Commissioners meeting. And then on December 15th is Friends of the Parks' quarterly Netch lecture. This season, the Netch lecture will be about Clarendon Park and their centennial and the history of the park, and I have a feeling some history on lakefront parks in general, since it was the first public beach in the city of Chicago. So let's quickly begin. I'm going to take you to where we have the seed grant application up on our website, fotp.org. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you will see that we have the link up there. Here's a picture from 2015, one of the seed grant winners from O'Halloran Park. They bought equipment for their park to support their senior programming and their youth programming as well. So here is the link for the 2017 seed grant application. You will see that it is due Friday, February 3rd, 2017 by 5 p.m. And also just a little bit of history. Since 2000, we have awarded over $150,000 in grants for programming and activities and supplies to park advisory councils. So it's really exciting. It's quite an honor for our organization to be able to participate or to offer this program to such amazing groups like yourselves who might be struggling for resources to do the great things that you are doing in your park. So when you download the application, you'll see that there is a cover page. For the past few years, I've been changing the quotes, often about seeds. So here's a really great quote by Wallace D. Wattles. And just explains a little bit about the program and the purpose of the program. So really, one of our goals is to leverage the dollars that are spent in cities' parks, promote and support community groups and community assets, develop leaders who share their knowledge with others, and provide additional resources to park advisory councils and, like I said, other park partnering organizations who are working in the parks. Who qualifies for this grant? You must be a park advisory council or some other park partnering organization that works very park. And this year we've added, we've changed the application. We will not review applications from organizations who have annual budgets that are larger than $500,000. So what can the seed grant fund? What projects are we looking to fund with this program? So in our long history, we've different kinds of projects, and they all must take place in a Chicago park or in a playground, a Chicago playground, a Chicago Park District park or playground. And the funds must be used for events, programming, or beautification as some examples: gardens, tree plantings, sports equipment, concerts, arts programming, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the greatest, something you should consider is if for your project and how you want to use the seed grant fund, we will not fund proposals that are making requests to do capital improvement projects. And specifically, a capital improvement project is really something that has to do with the park's infrastructure. The definition of that is capital improvements or expenditures related to the acquisition, expansion, or renovation of subsegment of the park's infrastructure. We can think of tennis courts, we can think of playgrounds, we can think of field houses, anything that has to do with that sort of development. That's not something that's eligible for this grant opportunity. Some additional information. Friends of the Parks provides grants up to a maximum of $200,000. Sometimes we award $400, sometimes $150. It really depends on the request, but the maximum must be no more than $2,000 to be considered. Typically, we award per year a total of $5,000 or $10,000 in grant funds. And we don't fund any project fully. You must find additional sources for your project. Some of the criteria, and I will go through this again, or I've said some of this already. The park must be the project must be located in a Chicago Park District park. Applicants must be part of a park advisory council or park partnering organization. Third point is pretty important for us this year. Applicants must demonstrate that their project has support of the Chicago Park District via at least one letter of support from the park supervisor, unless otherwise exempt from this need, and I'm going to revisit this later. Previous award winners must have completed all requirements of prior. Applications must be full, complete, so that includes the completed grant application, which we're about to go through, your letters of support, and your budget. Like I said, grant requests cannot exceed $2,000, and of course, be met by the deadline, Friday, February 3rd, 2017. And you can, here's the grant application. Grant applications can either be mailed to me or emailed to me. We do not have fax anymore, so they must be sent to me or sent to Friends of the Parks via one of those means. If you have any questions, here's my contact information, and that, again, we'll have that later on. It's later on in the report as well. So first, let me just say that this is an editable PDF, so you can type on it, and then save it, and then send it in. So I don't think I really have to walk you through this, but I'll just say here that we would like you to include where your park is located. So Chicago Park District divides out each park into 3 regions, north, central, and south, and this is park district language. And then within each region, your park is within one of 6 areas. So you have to include this information. If you don't know, please ask your park supervisor. They will know this information. Amount of money to be requested, pretty self-explanatory. And then if we do award you award money, if you do receive a seed grant, you will need to include here the name of the person that the check will be made out to and the organization that you're a part of. Both of those items need to be on the check. So project description, please provide a description of the project you are seeking for seed grant funds to support. Again, this is an editable PDF. You can't, it'll stop. So there is a word limit. So please be concise, please be clear, but don't be short. A couple sentences, small sentences, probably won't convey the depth of your project. So this is an opportunity to really show off your project, and then there'll be opportunities to break down some of those elements later on. Timeline of your project. When do you expect to start? Actually, I think I forgot to say, I skipped over it. Grant funds are going to be distributed to seed grant recipients in March, and the funds are to be used in 2017. So we would like, you will be, if you are the recipient of a grant, you will be expected to report on how you used those funds in 2017. So provide a timeline showing your expected project start and completion dates, and any dates along the way that are important. That helps us understand that you're organized, that you thought ahead, that there's a plan, and that helps strengthen your application when you can convey to us, thought about this, that your group has thought about this, and there is a plan, and that helps us believe that your project is feasible and that it can be executed in 2017. So what projects has your group done to date? What does your organization's need for Seed Grant funding? This is another question that's really important for us to understand. What's your need? Last year we had some organizations who had beautiful proposals, really exciting proposals, but their organizations were well funded, and we couldn't quite get behind the need for the funding for a seed grant fund. So convey to us, this is really an opportunity to sell your project to us. What's your story? Have you been fundraising for a long time? Is it difficult to get funding? Or maybe you have been doing some fundraising and you have some funds available for a project, but this is just the last step. I don't know. We'll see what you have to say about that. So again, that's a really important question. Maybe next year I'll so you can see which ones are really, really important to us. How will park users and park community be impacted by your project? Again, this is a really important question. This helps us understand, why is this project special? This is another opportunity for you to really sell, be clear, concise, and convey the worth of this project, why this is a seed that you are planting in your community, planting in your park. And again, this question is another one that really helps us buy into your project and want to fund it. Will the project impact physical space? Not a lot of opportunity or space here for typing, so again, be concise and clear. And let me add that you are welcome to include supplemental page to expand on any of these questions if you feel that you didn't have enough. That is absolutely fine. If tangible items are being purchased, how will they be maintained and cared for to ensure that they can remain useful for the park years to come? If you're doing some sort of programming or arts event, how will you advertise, do outreach to the community? List the names of individuals who'll be working on the project. Pretty clear, I think. List any contacts you're working with in the Chicago Park District. And here again, we say Friends of the Parks is now requiring letters of support unless exempt, and I'll talk about that when I go through the appendix. Do you plan on seeking additional support on the project from others, like community groups? This is another really important one. This shows that you're connected to your community, and additional support can be anything. I mean, it can be fiscal support, it can be monetary support, it can be, it could just maybe be your alderman likes your idea as well, and they will advertise it. I don't know, what do you have to say about that? And any in-kind donations, so anything that will be free, that will be donated to the project. So maybe part of your project, somebody will donate, Home Depot will donate paint. Maybe there's going to be a dance and the teacher is volunteering their time. Maybe offering space. So anything that is being donated for this project that you will not be paying for. And then of course your signature, date, and then again, what are the 3 elements of this application that need to be completed and turned in together to be considered. So let's go through the letters of support. And let me just preface this by saying that we've had amazing seed grant proposals, applications that we've gone through. Awardees, groups had a great vision, and they had the support even from their park supervisor, but just because of some of the changes within the park district, and I'll go through that, what that means in a minute, they found it hard to execute their projects or their programs. And it's been quite a barrier. So we want you to think about this now. We don't want it to be February and you turn in the seed grant application and you haven't talked to any park district staff about your ability, the possibility of actually conducting this project in the park, which most of these applications, I'm quite confident, will take place in a park, and you will need permission from someone to do your project. So if it's putting on programming in your park, obviously your supervisor, boss of that park, the main steward of that park, they're going to have to give you the okay. And then really particularly why this is really critical is if you are planning to do a gardening project or an arts project or any project that affects the space of the park, and I'm not talking about infrastructure, just some of the beautification or anything that alters the park as you know it, outside of capital improvement projects. You have to go through another level, most likely, of approval from the park district. Sometimes the park supervisor can okay it, but the park district has really been pushing the Park Enhancement Committee, and last I checked, they still do not have any information about this group online. So this is not very transparent. This group, who they are, I know they're a committee made up of park district staff, departments, and they make decisions about just general community folks, partners, community groups. When they have an idea for their park, they approve it. So for example, if you want to put a mural in your park, the proper procedure for park district is to go through the Park Enhancement Committee. We again had some seed grants, and I actually myself, I led one of Friends of the Parks' programming called Placemakers, where we engaged some students from Build Incorporated, one of our amazing partners. We engaged their youth council in a student-driven, so just kind of gave them some background on do placemaking and visioning and doing needs assessments, and they decided they wanted to donate benches, paint picnic benches, and donate them to Simons Park. And ultimately, because there's no seating at all in Simons Park, in the green space next to the field house, not one bench, and ultimately the Park Enhancement Committee denied that project. So we had to be creative, and they decided to donate the picnic benches to Build instead. So it was kind of devastating for the students. A great lesson, of course, but so again, I don't want you to February and there's this project and then find out they're never going to fund it. So just beginning those conversations ahead of time. It can be a timely process, so maybe you won't get permission from the Park Enhancement Committee now by December, but at least you're beginning that conversation, and you, park supervisor, will help you, or me. You can always call me, and I can help you as well. But your park supervisor really will help you figure out if you need to go through Park Enhancement Committee for approval, or if it's a community garden, you will have to go through the community garden team, Kristen Brock or Liz O'Callahan. Their email addresses on here. I think that sometimes my understanding is if it's a small, like if there are bushes and you want to add flowers in front of the field house, that might not be considered a community garden, and you might not need their approval. You just might need this approval of the park supervisor. But if it is a larger project, they will be your first outside of your park supervisor. Again, you know, it'd be nice to have their approval. And if you don't have a supportive supervisor, still contact these guys. They might be able to guide you better, but they're both wonderful, very helpful, and really care about the work that they do. So they're great resources if you're interested in doing a community garden project in your park. So back to the Park Enhancement Committee. I found out that this is new. This is from 2016. This did not exist. They want you to send them a proposal that touches on these different elements. So I tried to screenshot it there. So if you print it out, hopefully it's bigger, or if you zoom in, you can see it clearer. They're looking for, and I don't really know. I can't say a lot about the Park Enhancement Committee, but you can direct any questions. This year, the chair of this committee was Claudine Malik, and here's her email address. So any questions about the Park Enhancement Committee should be sent to her. Last I heard, there is a cover page that goes with your proposals, so please email her and ask her, again, what is the process for getting a project approved, again, after you talk to your park supervisor, because maybe you don't need to go through the Park Enhancement Committee. So letters of support, I gave one here if you don't want to burden your very busy park supervisor, because they're doing so much. I put this fill in the blank form together, so hopefully it's easier. It says I blank name as park supervisor am writing in support of the grant submitted by Pineapple Park Advisory Council. This group has informed me of the details of the project. I'm supportive of their efforts to put in a community garden that will engage children in education about food for the benefit of Pineapple Park. Additional comments they'd like to add, and then of course their signature. So you don't have to use this letter of support. They can write out their own if they'd like to. This is just to make it easier. And as I say earlier, if the application demonstrates that the project does not need the support and therefore approval, a letter of support is not required. We just put this in here in case there's a scenario that you want to do something in the park that park district wouldn't have jurisdiction over. I can't quite think of an example. We talked about doing a documentary. If someone wanted to do a documentary, as was one of the past Sea Grant awardees, but I think there might be rules about filming in the park, which you may think is silly or not, but Park District has their rules. And then the last piece is the budget. It should be completed. Each row must be filled out. You can do your own budget if you don't like this form. This could serve as a model as to what we're looking for in your own budget if you wanted to type out a budget. Again, a budget that is completed, that has all of these elements, demonstrates to us that you've thought about it. There have been applications in the past that had a budget and it says flowers, $500, and it doesn't have a breakdown of how many flowers do you want to buy? Have you done your research? Who are you thinking of buying them from? And that really hurts the application because it just kind of makes it look like it wasn't really well thought out or the fly. So this is another opportunity to really sell yourself as an organized park advocates who really want to make your project a reality in your park, that you have put in the effort to figure out what would your what are the different pieces of your project that need to be funded. I divided it out into project materials, supplies, and contractual services. If there's something that I missed, like I think I realized after I made this a room, if you wanted a room, if you're paying for a room, for example, that wouldn't quite fit in one of those two categories, you could just put it on a line. It's fine. And then the total project costs. So I think that is everything I wanted to go over with everybody. Again, 2 changes this year. We now are requiring that you demonstrate support from the park district, your park supervisor at least. Earlier I had said 1 to 3 letters of support. I have that somewhere in here. So you can, again, have your park supervisor, and then maybe have Kristen Brock, if you're doing a garden, write us an email of support or do that form. Email might be easier in a scenario like that. Or your alderman, or maybe it's another community group that you're working with. Maybe you're co-sponsoring, you're putting on an event with another organization. That's awesome. That looks great. That shows that you're collaborative, that you're connected to the community, and again, that helps sell yourself. So I think I'll leave it there. We opened up the applications a little bit earlier this time because, you know, like I mentioned, getting approvals can take a while and be really stressful for groups. So please start thinking about this now. Please, if you have any questions, email me, or we can have a phone call. Email might be the best way to contact me at first. If you do prefer a phone call, we can schedule a phone call. But I would love to explore your ideas with you and see if they're even feasible before you go through the whole application process with us. So I will leave it there. I hope that everyone has a wonderful night, and happy Thanksgiving, happy Turkey or Tofurkey Day, and I will see you around in the parks. Have a great night.